Right. Alright, I guess I could give you guys some pleasure. You stuck around with me this long. Let's give you a little bit of pleasure, alright? Look at this. Bam. There you go. So I gotta give the review properly, alright? I just kind of rambled early. So let's summarize. I mean, we talked about it a lot, so we don't really need to say too much, right? Like, we all kind of know what the problems are. Ugh, let me get this. I gotta get the CD out first. Oh, God. Ugh. Let's talk about the things that we liked, okay? Or I liked. Number one, super beautiful. Super beautiful game, okay? Super beautiful. Weather was amazing. I love the weather. It was a beautiful looking thing. The rain were fantastic. The rain were fantastic. Shooting was cool. That's it. That's it. I think that's all I got. Shooting was cool, but the act of shooting was not cool because the controls are slow as fuck. Oh, the controls are the worst thing I have touched in recent memory. I can't even, in recent memories, I can't remember the last time I had a more horrible experience moving a character. It was awful. They juked the shit out of the graphics, but then they were like, let's make the graphics better at the expense of the controls. I hated it. The snow was fantastic. All the weather is fantastic in the game. The snow, the way it parts, and it's beautiful. And shooting people is cool because the way they react to specific parts of their body, and you could like shoot an animal and have it bleed out, and I think people bleed out too. I like that kind of detail to combat. I like that sort of stuff. I like that you could shoot a guy. You know, I'm a huge fan of being able to do things like that ever since Metal Gear Solid 2, where you can like hold a guy up, shoot him in the arm, and then he can't hold his arm. You can shoot him in the other arm, and he can't hold his arms up, but he's bleeding from his arms. And even if you let him walk away, he will die from his bleeding wounds. I love that kind of detail. That shit's really fun. They don't quite have as deep as I would like it in this one, but in Red Dead 2, they did pretty good in having shit like that. So that was cool, and the weather is cool. That's it. Like, they tried to create this realistic ambiance sort of thing, and they did a good job with that, but it wears out its welcome super fast. I can't stick with it. Like, I mean, I was tired halfway through the game, and I just wanted to beat it. And I was just like, all right, this cool, nice, weird take for a AAA title has now worn out its welcome. Let's go. And then that encounters the next problem. The story is garbage because you know exactly what's happening. The nature of it being a prequel completely kills any like real hype or tension that was there. And then just in addition to that, you've got missions that you are doing that really just drag it out. And in the first 3 chapters, it's just Arthur Morgan's wild adventures that never work out. And then the last 3 chapters is Arthur Morgan doubting Dutch but never doing anything about it. Never doing anything. And then getting his ass sick and then he's dead. That's it. Like, Arthur Morgan didn't get the chance to be a really cool character like Marston. He just didn't get the chance. He just blew it out of the water with it. So Arthur Morgan, as cool as he could have been, was thrown away. His whole story is trash. And then that's it. That's it. I mean, what else do you have left in the game? Like, you can go hunt some animals. That was all right. But, like, why, though? You get all this money from robbing banks and trains and shit. You don't ever need to do it. You know, getting pelts for, like, $6. Like, whatever. You don't need that. I mean, it's cool, I guess, if you like doing that sort of thing. But, I mean, why? There's just not much point to it. There's really just no point to it. And the game doesn't feel good. The game doesn't feel good to control. So I mean, that's a huge problem. When you want to move in the game is just fighting you the whole time. They're really quite pointless. I mean, it's just, even if you enjoy the gunplay, that I kind of enjoyed it, and even if you enjoy hunting things because it's fun to kind of track around and look for the animal, find it, and then shoot it, you know, hit it with a bow, like, that's all cool and everything, but the controls are fighting you the entire time, and it is frustrating to get stuck on things, or just telling him to go, and just stopping and turning the other direction takes like an hour. It's insane. Yeah, the whole thing, they very clearly meant this to be a visual experience, and they really sacrificed the interaction of it. Now, but there's still lots of stuff to do. I mean, playing poker and shit and all that stuff is really, it's cool having those options. But the things that I want to do require interacting with the controls in a timely manner. And there ain't nothing timely about the controls. So, that absolutely tanks it for me. That just kills it. Is it a bad game? I don't really know if it's a bad game. I like that it did do some realism type stuff, which is weird for a AAA title to do. I kind of thought that was neat. How your guns are on your horse, and if you're not near your horse, you don't get your guns. That's just it. I mean, the ideas, I guess, aren't bad, but they're not implemented very well either. Because then they throw all these enemies at you, and you just got to keep shooting them over and over again. It's like, I want different guns, or I want to have my guns that I chose for the mission. I want them there. But they can't always be there. I don't know. It's bad. I'm willing to say that the game is not bad. I'm willing to say it's not bad. Even though I do think maybe it is bad because of the controls. The more I think about the controls, the more I think do think it's bad. I'm willing to say it's not bad, but it is not good. And that leaves it in a very firm, boring category. It's boring. It is a boring experience. It's not a bad game, but it's a boring game. It's a boring game that you don't get any real joy to derive from because all the stuff that you're doing is hunkered down by the controls. But yeah, I can see somebody who's really chilling out, really into scenery, who's really into being absorbed into the game, like in placing themselves as Arthur Morgan. Like, I could see somebody really into it like that. Someone really getting into the nooks and crannies. I think there's people that like that stuff. And I think for those people, the controls aren't that big of an issue. And I think those guys are going to have a lot to do in the game. And that's going to be fun for them. That's why I don't really want to say it's a bad game. But I want to say it is a boring game for most people who play video games because most people want to be able to have a responsive control scheme. And you don't have that in this game. People only like this game because it's Rockstar. I mean, it is a Rockstar game. It's got all the Grand Theft Auto... I mean, there's just tons of things to do. You can go betting, and if you lose, you can shoot the people at your table. Like, I mean, it's kind of cool. I like that stuff, too. But, I mean, as a game, it needs to deliver on certain gameplay aspects in order for it to be considered a real good video game. I don't think this is a real good video game. I think it's a boring video game. And I don't necessarily think it's bad. I just think it's a boring video game. It's boring. Yeah, I mean, the formula's pretty old for Rockstar. That's true, too. But even if you can just take the game and look at it in a void, there's so many problems with it that keeps it from being anything interesting. And it's just because the problems that it has are so impactful to the experience of the game no matter what you do. No matter what you do, the controls are always going to be fighting you. Whether you like going out hunting or not. It doesn't matter because it's going to take 3 years for you to actually aim your bow, flick your stick over to the head, and then let the shot out. It's not responsive, and thus it's not enjoyable. It's a chore. It's an actual job trying to move the character. So even if you like doing those things, you're fucked. You're fucked. Even if you like the Rockstar formula, let's take it back out of the void and put it back into the real world where there's all these games, all these options, and how long we've been doing shit. Yeah. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. The formula's old and it's crazy. In any case, I mean, maybe there's some Wild West fans out there. Fucking, I don't know. I guess. Will Smith fans. They're eating this shit up, I guess. Too much heavy lifting. I still don't like saying it's a bad game, though. And, you know, I was taken by a lot of the weather effects. The weather effects were fantastic. And the clothing and the characters look pretty cool and all that. Now, that's just single player. I'm not even going to try going online because I already read about it and I've seen it. It's awful. It's an awful experience. Online is Grand Theft Auto 5. That's it. It's Grand Theft Auto 5, but you've got a lot less that you can do. The graphics have been substantially lessened for online, and you've got a bunch of griefers that are just killing you when you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do. It sounds like they don't even have the quests out yet either. So there's no single player, there's no multiplayer storyline to pursue except for co-op missions, which somebody can come into your co-op mission and kill you while you're doing it. So you can get grief, you just get griefers doing nothing but griefing you all day, even when you're trying to do the missions. And then you don't get any money, and you can't insure your horse, which means whatever horse you get is going to die. You have to spend real money to insure any of your actual good horses. So if you get any good horses, you have to spend real life money to insure them so that you can get them back. Which you're going to lose them because other players are just going to shoot your horse. Same with guns and everything. Everything's expensive and you can't make a buck. It's like it takes like a week to own a pair of pants. It's ridiculous. And then they got all these microtransactions and things. So, I mean, and that's just typical industry bullshit now, right? It's just microtransactions. It's not even the act of microtransactions that's bad. It is bad. But on top of that, you've also got a trash system in place. So it's awful. Everything is awful. Except the weather. The weather was cool. Man. Whatever. I mean, I'm glad that we beat it, though. I'm happy that we beat it. That was a fun game to stream simply because it was trash, and I enjoy streaming games. That's it. Tech demo released as a game, yeah, pretty much, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people. You know, the thing is as much shit as we're talking about it, a lot of people don't have experience with video games. They're just going to be coming home from work, and they're going to load it in there, and they're going to play it, and they're going to be happy, you know? So there's a reason it's got 97 on Metacritic. That's because everyone was paid off, because it's Rockstar. And you don't want to piss off Rockstar if you're a journalist. But I'm certain that a lot of people are coming home, putting in Red Dead, spending a few hours shooting some stuff, you know, maybe building their homestead or something. And then that's it. And then they're going to be like, okay, I had a great time. I'm going to go back to work tomorrow and do it again. So, I don't know. Those guys, whatever. I'm not one of those guys. I did not enjoy my experience with the game as a game, but I enjoyed streaming it and talking mad shit. I had a lot of fun doing that.